Welcome to the Hamza Show. Today, we are very happy to have a special guest, Min Song Lee, survivor of the recent earthquake that devastated Japan.
Hello.
Tell us about your experience.
Well, I was working and I suddenly felt the ground shake, and all my colleagues and I started to scream, so we all ran up to our desk hoping for the best. And that's when I thought to myself, this was easily the worst earthquake I've ever experienced.
The earthquake measured a 9.0 on the Richter scale. It was the fifth most powerful earthquake since 1900. It occurred on the 11th of March, 2011, at approximately 2:46 p.m. Japan Standard Time. The epicenter of the earthquake was 32 kilometers off the coast of Japan, and the earthquake lasted approximately 6 minutes. It triggered a major tsunami up to 133 feet high. The tsunami and earthquake combined killed over 15,000 people and destroyed or damaged over 1 million buildings. Tell us about your experience after the earthquake.
Well, at that point, I thought I was safe because the ground stopped shaking. But then I realized from past experience that a tsunami might be coming in. So I rushed to my car and I picked up my family and we drove inward in the city as much as possible. And we pulled up to a parking garage and drove to the top floor, hoping that the tsunami would not get us up there. And my prediction was true, and the tsunami was coming in fast. From the top of the garage, I could see buildings collapsing, people drowning, and debris all around us, floating in the flood.
Welcome back to the Hamza Show. Our next guest on the topic of the 2011 Japanese earthquake is nuclear engineer Tuan Tran. He worked at the Fukushima nuclear power plant in Japan. Tell us about the situation with the earthquake and the power plant.
So as you may know, the large waves from the tsunami caused for damage to our cooling systems at the nuclear plant. This caused for malfunctions at the nuclear plant, which then resulted in radiation being leaked out into the atmosphere. The radiation posed a huge threat to the Japanese public. The radiation particles poisoned the oxygen and eventually got into the Japanese food and water supply.
Tell us about the effects of radiation on humans.
So the effects of radiation on a human is directly related to how much radiation the human was actually exposed to. Low amounts of exposure can lead to nausea, vomiting, minor headaches, and some hair loss. Medium exposure to radiation could cause radiation sickness or damage to blood vessels. And high exposure to radiation could cause heart failure, death, or permanent damage to brain cells.
Welcome back to the Hamza Show. Our next and final guest for today is UN Representative Daniel Sarachi. The tsunami and earthquake caused much devastation to Japan's coastal regions. Tell us about the reconstruction efforts.
So the total cost of the devastation caused by the tsunami and the earthquake was a total of $230 billion. We reconstructed most of the main buildings. However, it'll take a few more years to rebuild the rest of them. The power lines were brought down by the tsunami, and recently we restored the electricity to most of the affected areas.
That's it for today. Thank you to all of our guests, and join us next week for Why History is High School Students' Favorite Class.